There's a place hidden deep in the mountains where people just don't seem to age. If you go there, you'll find people in their 90s working the fields at sunrise and great-grandmothers walking miles without a cane. And the thing is, this isn't surprising at all. It's the norm. For years, scientists went there to investigate. They tested the water, they studied the soil, they even did genetic sequencing. But it didn't fully explain what was going on. They couldn't figure out what the fountain of youth was. So they stopped looking at the ground and the water, and they started looking somewhere else entirely. This is Bama, an autonomous county tucked away in the mountains of southern China, and it has a nickname, the longevity capital of the world. More than 2 million visitors go there every year, and these tourists are sick, scared, and looking for a miracle. And there are plenty of options to choose from once you're there. There's longevity water you can buy for about $600 a ton, promising it'll get rid of your diabetes. There are mushrooms sold as having divine powers. There are people on the street selling medicine made from snake and scorpion venom. And every morning, people with cancer and other illnesses climb up into a cave they call the oxygen bar, and they just sit there on the rocks, breathing, hoping the air will do what their doctors couldn't. So, which of these is the longevity cure? Well, long before the tourists came, this valley was already producing some of the longest living people on Earth. The proportion of centenarians, people over 100 years old, is almost 6 times greater than the international standard. Bama has 43 centenarians per 100,000 people, compared to just 8 in Nandan, the closest neighboring county. Now, you might think, well, hang on, isn't this a blue zone like Sardinia or Okinawa? One of those places where everyone's 90 and drizzling olive oil on everything? Kinda. Bama is similar, but it's also a strange case, and here's why. Well, for one, it's very remote and very poor. The nearest real hospital is hours away, and more than half of the oldest people there never spent a day in school. So whatever's going on, they didn't buy it or study it, and no doctor prescribed it. For another, it's sealed off. These are ethnic minority communities that have pretty much not moved and married within their own villages for centuries. That's to say, the gene pool barely moves. And you might assume that these people might be fabricating or lying about their age, which does happen in places like this, but the researchers have checked. They matched birth dates against household records, family trees, and even their bone age. And it all adds up. Okay, let's finally get into it. What's so special about these people? The first thing researchers wanted to figure out was obvious. Is this a phenomenon of nature or nurture? Is it something determined by the genes or something in the environment? Well, as it turns out, both. But the ratio is the surprise. Your genes only account for about 25% of how long you will live. The other 3/4 is daily life. And if you're wondering what daily life is like here in Bama, I'll break down the specific routines that set them apart so you can see exactly how they differ. But interestingly, the genetic bit shows up in specific families in Bama. Long life runs for 3 generations, and among the people in the county who are over 90, there's 3 surnames that keep repeating: Huang, Wei, and Luo. When researchers looked at their DNA, they found some patterns. They had longer telomeres, which are the little protective caps on the ends of your chromosomes that fray as you age. In Bama, about 70% of your telomere length is inherited, and the longest living families, along with their kids, carry the longest ones. They also found a whole cluster of their genes set differently than everyone else's, and there's a few worth mentioning, just bear with me. H19 and PFKFB4, these are 2 genes that usually feed cancer, and they found that were actually turned off. There's also SIRT6, this one repairs your DNA, it was turned up. And FOXO3A, the longevity gene that shows up in the oldest people all over the world, well, the people in Bama carried the good version of it. These people also had APOA1 and APOC1 genes that tilt cholesterol towards a healthy way. There's one more fascinating thing in the data. Of everyone in Bama who reaches 100, nearly 3 in 4 are women. They outlive the men there by almost 3 to 1. So whatever is going on, it does it best for women. But again, genes only explain part of the picture. Genes don't fully explain how a woman in their 90s can still be working in the field. That's the other 3/4. So if it's mostly about how they live, what are they doing all day? Well, if you wanted to hear something super normal, sorry, it's actually the opposite of super normal, and that's kind of the point. Okay, let's start with the food. Researchers summarized the Bama diet down to 5 low, 2 high. Low in fat, animal protein, calories, salt, and sugar, and high in fiber and vitamins. In their daily life, that means they often eat porridge, grains, wild bitter greens, and cooking oil pressed from hemp seed. And they are not vegetarians. They eat meat, but it's more like a seasoning rather than the main dish. There are a few items that interest scientists. The hemp seed oil has an almost perfect balance of omega fats and boosts your good cholesterol. Now, in our case, if you can't find hemp seed oil, you can reach for flaxseed oil or walnut oil, which have similar healthy fats. And in Bama, they love eating a bitter green called sow thistle, which is packed with antioxidants. If sow thistle is hard to find where you live, pretty much any bitter leafy green like dandelion greens, arugula, or even kale can give you a similar nutritional value. And this is all backed up. Studies show that if you feed the Bama diet to mice, the mice grow more of the friendly gut bacteria and less of the inflammatory kind. Now, if that's starting to sound like the Mediterranean diet, that's because it kinda is. But these are people who have never heard of the word. They just intuitively know what's good for them. Another huge factor is physical movement. Though nobody in Bama would call it exercise, there's really no gym. There's a mountain, a field, water to carry, somewhere you have to walk to. Their bodies stay strong because the day itself keeps them strong. And there's also abundant tranquility, which I think we badly underestimate. Life there is slow and intentional. Old people sit out in the sun, family stays nearby, and there's an old belief that kind people live longer. So people are kind, and they're not living with the stress that many of us have. And last thing is land. They have clean air, water, and soil that are rich in magnesium, the mineral your body relies on for steady blood pressure. So, as we've seen, nothing here is working against these people, but there's another element that I've left out. So far, we've gone about as far as Western science can take us. It can name everything the people of Bama do right, but it can't quite explain why it all adds up to bodies that just don't age. I wanted to know if there was another way of thinking about this, or another explanation, something tying the whole thing together. So I called Dr. Jingduan Yang. He's a psychiatrist who trained at Oxford and Thomas Jefferson, and he's also a 5th-generation doctor of Chinese medicine. So he's one of the few people who can look at a place like Bama through both lenses at the same time. I actually ended up writing a whole story about him, which is linked below. And he explained to me health using a car. A human being, he said, runs on 4 things, and he calls it the ACEs model: anatomy, chemistry, energy, and soul. Your anatomy is the frame and the body of the car, your bones, your organs, your cells. Your chemistry is the fuel and the fluids, the gas and the oil and the water. In you, that's your blood, your hormones, your nutrients, and the neurotransmitters in your brain. Energy is the engine and the electrical system, the battery and the wiring that turns fuel into motion. And if energy sounds a little mysterious for the human body, remember that Western medicine measures it all the time. An EKG records the electrical activity from your heart, and EEG reads your brain. And finally, and probably most importantly, your soul is the driver. Because a car can be perfect with the best fuel and engine, but sit in the driveway forever, since nothing moves without someone behind the wheel. Your soul is your character, your judgment, your sense of purpose, how you carry yourself, and how you treat the people around you. And Dr. Yang's whole point is that modern medicine obsesses over the car and forgets the driver. He treats you one part at a time. A pill for this, a specialist for that. but you don't age one part at a time. You age as one whole system, and you should support it as one too. Now, there's one piece inside the model that is worth highlighting. Your chemistry, the fuel, holds something that Chinese medicine calls the kidney essence. And the kidney here isn't the organ that you're picturing, it's more like a system. The essence is the fuel that you're born with. You get a fixed amount at the start. You can't simply make more, and from there, you either conserve it or you spend it. A little burns off every day just from being alive, and that slow drain is more or less what in the West we call aging. The thing is, modern life spends it faster. Bad sleep, chronic stress, toxins, fears, every one of those burns through the tank quicker. And as the level drops, the body takes back from whatever it can spare. So your hair loses color, your skin loses its glow, and your memory gets a little bit slippery. So here are some takeaways that matter for you and me, because I don't think you're about to move to a mountain in China. First of all, eat to actually feed your body, not to satisfy cravings, and eat more plants and fiber, less sugar, salt, and junk. Of course, make sure you move every single day, even just a little bit. A small walk or a 10-minute workout can make a huge difference. Protect your sleep like it's the most important thing on your calendar. And last thing, reduce your fears, your worries, the rushing, because stress is the fastest leak in the system. And stay close to the people and the purpose that gives your life meaning. And above all, be kind. Goodness within will radiate to goodness outside. And by the way, if you want the full version, Dr. Yang built his entire ACEs model into a course for women called Longevity for Women. The link is in the description if you want to find out more. I'm not sponsored, but I think it's really interesting and it might be genuinely helpful. Now, let's go back to the people of Bama, because they've never been chasing long life at all. Fixating on longevity is its own kind of stress. They simply built a way of living that spends the fuel slowly and takes care of the car. This brings us back to the car metaphor. You have your own car. You can spend your whole life waxing the paint or getting additives that promise to make the engine better or smashing the gas to get somewhere faster. Or you can do what they do up in those mountains. Drive gently, keep it clean, and never forget that the one part that no mechanic can replace is the driver. If this shifted the way you think about getting older, please go ahead and subscribe. We cover topics like this every week. And tell me in the comments if you have any anti-aging tricks. And while you're at it, send this video to someone you want to see around for a long, long time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.